Lauren, it's good to see you. Welcome back in.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell me, how have things been going? What's been going on?
And things have been going great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So things have been going great.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
I think things are getting easier at home. And, I feel like after our last talk, I feel like I'm ready to get back into it and talk about my feelings, talk about what's going on so that I'm here at school. So I think everything's going better.
That's really encouraging to hear. I mean, I hear that you're feeling uplifted, you're feeling encouraged, and sounds like you're motivated. Tell me, you said things are better at home. Tell me in what ways have things been better for you at home?
I think things are becoming more normal. So my siblings and I are getting used to my mom being gone more. So I think we're starting to fall into this kind of groove.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before it was kind of like all these cards were just kind of thrown all over the place. We're just kind of survival mode. And now I feel like now it's like a norm, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just becoming a routine. Becoming a routine.
So you're adjusting.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's good to hear. And I know that when we experience, a shock of initial change, like things can be thrown out of keel and off balance, and that can throw things in a bit of a spin. And then it is comforting when things sort of settle down and we find ourselves into a groove. I'm a little worried about the groove we might be finding ourselves into, though.
Why is that?
Okay. Well, what would you think that I would be worried about?
My attendance,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. I really like hearing the encouragement and yeah, I know that I'm ready to get on track. I'm ready to show up to school. That I can check in with you. We can start talking about what's really been going on with me. But in order for that to happen, right? In order for us to really sort of break that ground and to utilize that as a resource, right? We have to start with step one, which is
Coming to school.
getting to school, right? Our sessions happen here at school, right? So there seems to be some things maybe getting in the way of your coming to school. What can you tell me about that?
Still finding myself to be a little tired and emotionally drained.
Okay.
So my mom is still signing me off, although lately she's been a little bit more vocal about doing that.
Okay.
I think at first she kind of felt guilty maybe about the situation, but I can tell lately that it's starting to maybe affect her a little bit, that I'm missing so much school.
All right. So your guys' relationship, you can see it impact it. You can feel it.
Yeah.
She's displeased with having to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's affecting the way you guys are interacting. Okay. That seems like it would be encouraging, motivating to be coming to school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's look at that for a second. I want to look at your motivation for a second. Let's look right here at the board. I've got a little scale. Right? We use these scales to sort of rate things. And so we've got this scale of 1 to 10 with, it's getting starting with nothing, right? So if we're rating your motivation or what you've been doing to show, like I'm motivated, like we talked about before, to get to school on a regular basis, to come in and check in with you, Mr. Leonardo. We're going to talk these things through. I want to really start to lighten the load, right? 1 rating would be like nothing. Like honestly, like I've done nothing. It hasn't crossed my mind. I've just been in the groove, and it hasn't been there. I haven't thought about it. A 5, about mid-range, would be like, okay, I've thought about it, it's been on my mind, mom keeps reminding me, but I have excuses and I put it off and I find ways to do other things, right? Prioritizing things above it, right? And 10 being like, I've given it my everything, right? That's all I've done, I've been focused on it, like I set my alarm, I've tried to establish these new habits, like 10 is like action oriented. Where would you rate your effort or level of motivation since our last session?
Honestly, probably between a 3 and a 4.
Okay. Okay. Between a 3 and a 4. And so tell me, describe to me that 3 and a 4, would you?
The thought of coming here and talking about things and getting things off my chest have clearly crossed my mind.
Okay. So you still believe that to be a viable resource?
Yes, but it's easy to have my mom just call me out.
Okay.
And so I think because she's willing to do that, I'm just taking the easy way out.
Right. So it crosses your mind. You still believe. We can describe it like that, right? We'll do yours. Is it peak okay? Mm-hmm. And you said it was somewhere around here, right?
Yeah.
So I still believe, right? But you said like this easy way out. Right?
Yeah.
You're coming up with excuses. Mom's been helping you, but it sounds like that might be, on the change. Right? Mom might be changing her behavior before you change your behavior, and that might make it a little bit more difficult for you. Right? And like you're saying, you're starting to feel that with you and your mom. Well, I can totally see, why things haven't really started to change for you here at school, and they've almost actually regressed even more so. I've noticed over the last couple of weeks since our talk, you missed several days over these last 2 weeks again, and that, my concern for you not being here is why I initiated, calling home and checking on you, checking on your wellness, that sort of thing. And having your mom let you know that I look forward to you getting, right into the office first thing. So thank you for making that happen, right? So we can have this conversation. I think this is definitely the first step in creating this change. But I think, like you said, honestly, I think you're giving yourself a fair rating, and that's reflective of where you're at, but it gives us its place to start, right? You're 2 steps above a 1, at least, right? So we're well on our way, right? Moving along, and so it's a good place to start. I think. I'd like to do an activity with you today that I think might be helpful. Okay, and I've got this handout, this worksheet that you're going to go through, and I'm going to go through it with you. Right? But we're going to talk about some things, and the first thing that we're going to sort of brainstorm and hash out a little bit, I want to look at sort of both sides of the coin, the pros and the cons of our situation, which at this time happens to be attending school, right? Tell me a little bit about pros and cons. What makes them different from each other? What is a pro? What is a con?
Positives and negatives.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Right? Positives, negatives, or benefits, consequences, right? Good things, bad things. Absolutely. And so, what would be the benefit of looking at the pros and the cons of something? Why would we do that?
I think sometimes seeing it on paper and visual can maybe put things in better perspective instead
Absolutely.
of just talking about it and then it kind of disappearing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely, it helps us sort of have the information to make better decisions, right? If I know what the potential consequences might be. And it puts them, like you said, out there in front of me. There's no hiding that. So let's look at that for a minute. What comes to mind when you think about what are the pros? What are the good things about attending school?
grades graduating.
Okay, so let's make note of these things as we talk about them. What other things besides grades and graduating come up when we think about the benefits of attending school?
Seeing my friends.
There you go.
Learning.
Absolutely. It's one that's what we might say is the primary purpose, right?
Yeah.
What about relationships at home? What about with mom?
Would make mom happy.
Yeah. And is there anything about like when you think about your future, how does going to school now? Sometimes it helps to think about long term, right? How does going to school now benefit me long term?
It's gonna give me the skills I need to progress in life.
We would hope so. Yeah. Good. Now, the other side of the coin, let's look at the cons. Just to be fair, what are some of the bad things about community school?
That's a good job.
That can be a drag,
Homework.
homework.
I think in my current situation, I just don't want to talk about things.
Okay. How do you say that? How would you say that as a con?
Explaining where I've been.
Okay. If I think when I'm looking at that and I'm thinking about like homework and how that can be a con, what comes up to you in terms of like how does that interact with the rest of your life?
Just because when I get home, I have to take care of my siblings. So then, if I have homework on top of all of that, then I'm going to be up late,
Okay.
which is going to make me not want to wake up.
So it's demanding and responsibility.
Yeah.
Sure. I think that can be this too. And if it's taking up time to do that, it's less time I have to do other things. Good. Can you think of anything else that needs to be on the list? Okay. Moving on to the second part of this activity, these are what we would call like hypothetical questions. Okay, so we're going to, again, sort of project ourselves out into the future a little bit. And maybe this is also about like right now. We could definitely look at how this affects us now and how this affects us in the future. But we have a question there. What's the top question? Could you read that aloud?
How might my life be affected by improving my attendance? Well, the first two things that come to mind is one, graduating,
All right.
right? Like, I clearly need a diploma
Okay.
to be successful in life.
Okay. So simply by attending school, that can have a direct impact on my level of success in life.
I think so. I mean, I don't want to not graduate and have to go get like a GED or something. And then the second thing is just thinking about my mom. And she'd be disappointed if I didn't graduate high school.
Okay. So why don't you jot down those things? So clearly, graduating is important. It has to do with your future in your perspective, in your world, right? It has to do with your future. It has to do with your level of success. And you're also making a connection between your social life with your mom, your relationship, quality of relationship, how this is now affecting the way me and mom are getting along and interacting, whether she's proud of me or disappointed.
Well, yeah, and my siblings are little. Like I want them to have a good role model. I
Oh,
want
okay.
to be a good role model for them.
I think that needs to be on the list. How are you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Mm.
This can be a little challenging in terms of like what it triggers within us. How you feeling in this moment?
Like I've put forth more effort in the past couple of weeks.
Okay. So some responsibility,
Yeah.
some accountability,
Mm-hmm.
maybe some regret. Sounds like.
Yeah, it makes me a little disappointed in myself.
Okay. So you're sort of identifying or aligning yourself with your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Our final question there. What does that one say?
How might my life be affected if I don't improve my attendance? Probably won't graduate.
How could that shape things? Or what sort of impact might that have?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do with my life, but I know that I want to be successful at something, do
Mhm.
something with my life. I don't want to work at fast food forever,
Okay.
or you know. So not graduating isn't going to give me what I want in life as an adult.
How else? What else comes to your mind when you think about how you might be affected by not changing this behavior, by not improving?
I just think about my family, like my siblings and my mom, and I feel like because my mom already has so much to deal with, this would just be another big like hit on her.
Mm.
Another big. I don't know. I wouldn't want my child not to graduate high school.
You really started to like step out of your perspective and try to
I
step
feel
into your mom's
I
perspective.
feel like she would think it was her fault,
Mhm.
and I don't want her to feel that way.
That's really great insight to be able to step into somebody else's shoes and imagine things from their perspective and have that influence on you when it has to do with your well-being. I hear you using a lot of strong words like future and success and failure and and it seems like this behavior, this situation we have carries some pretty significant weight for you, right? And that doesn't seem like something of equivalent to like an easy way out sort of approach. Right? Have you been giving yourself a fair shot here in terms of your effort and the way that you has your effort matched sort of your view of this situation?
No, I think looking at this, it's pretty scary.
Mm.
So it's easy to just not do it. It's hard to do something that you're uncomfortable doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think talking about my situation is uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable, and I recognize that. It is challenging and hard. But I want us to focus on also the fact that you've recognized it as beneficial, helpful, right? And sometimes the helpful things are a little bit challenging. Right? Sometimes looking at these things and sort of weighing them out, and sort of hearing you stepping out of your perspective into your mom's perspective, and this sort of activity can sort of jumpstart us at times. Right? And so before we sort of wrap things up, I definitely want you to be able to, this is an activity for you. You're going to take this with you today and maybe reflect back on if need be. But first, let's sort of reassess. We started out our session talking about our scale and what sort of motivation you've had prior to today, right? And now we've sort of taken things, a look at things a little differently this afternoon with our activity. And I'm just kind of curious if you just go and leave out where you have been, but you sort of assess yourself right now as to where you feel in this moment. With our same scale, where would you rate yourself in terms of how motivated you are to sort of shift gears here on your attendance and getting in?
I would say right now at this moment, probably a 6 or a 7.
Okay.
So like I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's okay, but maybe we can set a goal for me to come in here once a week on a certain day. I think that I'm missing a lot of like Wednesdays and Thursdays just because Mondays and Tuesdays, school's in, having to like do all this stuff with my siblings at night. So I feel like by Wednesday and Thursday I'm just kind of emotionally drained and tired. So maybe some sort of accountability, like for me to come in here every Wednesday morning, every Thursday morning.
I'm even wondering if it wouldn't be less of a change if we didn't have a session on Tuesday. When we've already been coming on Tuesdays, when we check in on Tuesdays, maybe we can sort of reevaluate, sort of remotivate for the Wednesday, Thursday thing.
Yeah.
How does that sound?
Good.
Okay. So just from this activity, it sounds like you've jumped yourself, 2 whole slots on this scale from just having a few moments here to talk about this stuff. So having this maybe next to your bedstand or in your top drawer or carrying it around in your purse or your handbag or something like that so that you can spend a minute sort of reflect, that might be helpful in terms of sort of catching that little bit of motivation you might need to stay on track. But I also really like your plan, and I'll definitely make sure that we go ahead and schedule something starting next Tuesday and get you in every Tuesday before you leave school, so that maybe we can sort of give you that boost and that pick you up and that motivation and encouragement and talk about whatever it is we need to talk about. So we can get you back here on Wednesday and Thursday. Sounds like a great plan. All right? All right, we'll see you next time.
All right, thank you.
All right.